enriching the heritage of India. Odissi dance is one such form deriving its name from the popular state of Orissa.
Odissi dance is the classical representation of the tradition and culture of Orissa, emphasizing on themes depicting the divine love tales of Radha and Lord Krishna. Its origin can be traced back to the ritual dance performances in the ancient temples.
ओडिसी बहुत ही ग्रेसफुल और लास्ट जैसे भरपूर नृत्य माना जाता है और इसमें बहुत अनेक भंगिमाएँ हैं जो कोणार्क मंदिर या पुरी के जो मंदिर है उड़ीसा से उसमें से ली गई हैं भंगिमाएँ। और ओडिसी काफ़ी प्राचीन नृत्य शैली भी है और इसमें जो एक टॉर्सो मूवमेंट होती है और त्रिभंग ये बहुत ही फेमिनिन माना जाता है।
Primarily, Odissi dance comprises three popular dance forms. First, in Mahari tradition, women perform in the temples. Second, Nagari, which developed in the royal court. And third, Gotipur, which is a style in which young boys dressed up in female clothes perform the female roles. The characteristic feature of Odissi is the tribangi that divides the body movements into three parts: head, bust and the torso. While tribangi enhances the dance performance, hand positions significantly narrates the story.
It's a very graceful with ताल है और बहुत ही सुंदर है, छोटे movements हैं.
Such a complete dance form and which include all aspects of Indian culture.
Indian classical dance is a mirror or reflection of the nation's culture, which is a blend of several folk or popular arts. With Pankaj Tripathi, Sandhya for DD News.
Well, Odissi, the classical dance form, that's a special focus in Breakfast News this Friday morning. And who better than renowned Odissi exponent Madhvi Mutkal to tell us more on that. Madhvi, good morning and welcome to Breakfast News. How beautiful is the Odissi classical dance form?
Well, as beautiful as you perceive it to be, but it's, it has a lot of graceful undulating movements and very sculpturous movements. So I guess it's known for that.
It's got a beautiful history attached to it. Tell us more about its origin and how the Odissi dance form has evolved over all these ages.
Well, historically or archaeologically speaking, we find the earliest evidence dating back to the 1st century BC. In the caves near Bhubaneswar, there is a rock-cut panel that shows a dancer in a performance with her musicians and the audience, seated audience. So the scholars say this is the first representation of a formal dance presentation. It's not just a dance pose, but a dance being performed. So we have this continuous history of over 2,000 years that we have. But the revival, in between before 1950s, it had kind of gone into oblivion because the Devadasis, the Maharis, who used to be temple dancers, were not dancing it anymore. And the other strain of living tradition that was of the Gotipurs, little boys who used to dress up as girls and dance, were not really known outside, apart from villages, and they were performing in small parts of the country, in Orissa. So these two strains finally kept it alive, and after the 50s we have seen the boom, as they say. Yeah.
But Odissi still is not as well known or as much talked about as, say, the dance forms of Bharatnatyam and Kathak, say, for instance. Why is that?
Simply because Bharatnatyam and Kathak had earlier revivals.
Right.
They were performed on stage for a longer period of time. As I said, Odissi was revived only after the 50s, so it has a lesser period of revival. That's why it's lesser known. But now I guess.
But Odissi dance is not limited only to Orissa. Now it's known in India and on international scale.
I'm not from Orissa and I do Odissi.
Madhviji, tell us a little bit about the philosophy of the dance.
Well, basically, all our classical dances aim at that ultimate union with God. I mean, it sounds very big, but it's basically the feeling that gives you, for me, the dance form gives me that strength to recognize the ultimate being within myself.
Right, and do you think that it was easy for you? People would say you come from an illustrious family which had the background of music and dance. Your father was the founder of the Gandharva Mahavidyalaya. Did that make things easier for you?
Well, certainly in terms of having that musical background, you have the sense of tal, laya, music. That sanskar certainly helped in the, because these are ingredients in any art, in any dance form. So you have to know that I inherited. So certainly it helped.
Right. Give us more on the ingredients of the dance form, as we saw in that story as well. The maharis and the nartakis and the goti paus, as you explained as well. Which of these dance forms is more relevant today?
Well, the revival was when the gurus, the scholars, and the practicing, the Gotipo and Mahari, they got together and they culled elements from these different forms, living traditions. They studied sculpture, manuscripts, and put together the form that you see today. So both the Mahari element, the Gotipo elements are combined.
It's an amalgamation.
In what we present.
But even though it's got this dance form, the Odissi dance form has a feminine touch to it, but even males can do Odissi?
Yes, absolutely. As I said earlier, my Guruji, Guru Kirashan Mahapatra, was an excellent dancer. And if one saw him dancing, I don't think anybody would even think about why male dance. It was just so beautiful, and you didn't even realize that it was a male dancer doing Radha's role. It's the beauty of the form, and there are a lot of young Odissi dancers, male dancers in Odisha who are really wonderful. We should really have a chance to see them more often.
Right. And many youngsters are watching this program and now want to come and endorse Odissi dance. What would you like to say to them? Because you interact with a lot of young minds, as we saw in that story as well. What tips you can give as of now so that they know more about Odissi and can they make a profession in this dance form?
Well, I guess you learn an art form not basically to become a professional, but to enrich yourself. Because you see, our classical dances are not merely dancing. You learn about our philosophy, you learn about our music, our culture, our myths. It is an amalgamation of all that, and there's a lot of discipline. And one little thing I'll tell you, those who are good at dance are always very good at studies. So this big myth about wasting your time in dance,
that's no longer exist.
I don't think it ever existed, because dance sharpens your mind, and I think this business of parents only wanting their children to study, if they let go of them, if they are able to pursue other things which also sharpen their minds and personality, grooms their personality, it would be, I think, very helpful.
Now tell me, Madhviji, talking about classical dance per se, do you think today's parents are hesitant to enroll their children besides studies? Do you think learning classical dance is as rewarding as earlier?
It's certainly rewarding in what sense? I mean, there is certainly no return in terms of finance. I mean, if you're looking at it, in today's world, everything is money. Not in the arts. If you're artistically inclined, it's other things that reward you, which are far more lasting and far more peace-giving.
But do you think that is a reason, because everything is money in today's world, do you think it's do you see the number of students declining?
I think that's because the lifestyle has changed, and people don't have this world, today's world, where everything is what is good is not Indian.
Right.
This business I don't understand at all, because one day they'll lose their total identity, they'll have no place anywhere in the world. We stand out in the world because we are Indians, because of our culture.
Absolutely.
And we see this beautiful glimpse on the screen. Tell us, what kind of costumes does an Odissi dancer wear?
Well, Odissi dancer, you can identify with silver jewelry.
Yes.
Basically, this pink patiya, this belts that we wear, and the flowers with the tahiya, and that is basically.
And what about the musical accompaniments? I gather that with Odissi, one can have a pakhavaj or a sitar or a tanpura.
Yes, pakhavaj mardala, as we call it, sitar, tanpura, of course. We have the flute. We have the singers singing the main.
And we saw group people dancing, but as we see this photograph, is it also a solo dance form?
It's basically a solo dance form, but the Gotipurs, they danced in a group, like in a dance drama. The Rasa Leela of Odisha is presented in a group. A lot of, in fact, even Bharata in his Natya Shastra 2000 years ago mentions
that.
Pindi Bandha, I mean group work. So it's not, I won't say it's new, but that essence of Odissi is in solo, but there's a lot of very interesting group work that brings out the Nritya element far more, or the dance drama element.
Right, Madhaviji, very briefly, we are running out of time.
Yes.
If you could, we just talked about the fact that the lifestyles are changing, and what can we do as citizens who want to promote Indian culture as artists, what can we do to see to it that Odissi or any dance form, classical dance form, does not die a painful death?
Well, if it is deemed to die, it will die, but I don't think it is, because in last 2000 years it has always come up. It's a cyclic thing, like our philosophy. If it is going down, it will come up, because one day people will realize what we have lost. It might be too late to bring it back, but I think if the parents inculcated this feeling, if they taught their children either music or dance or some classical art, it will enrich the child. It will bring to the child something that they'll treasure forever, wherever they are in the world.
Right, and of course, it's part of Indian heritage, and we take great pride when we see all those beautiful dance forms when people dance on the stage. It's truly enigmatic. Thanks very much, Mahavidyalaya, for joining us and telling us more of the Odissi dance form.